Hey, this is the Kubeflow Notebooks meeting for the 22nd of May, 2025. As always, just like to start by pointing out Notebooks 2.0, we're working on it. We have an FAQ issue on the Notebooks repo, number 85. It gives you a little bit of an outline of why we're doing this, why we're making it's a full rewrite. It's got lots of new features. It should hopefully become the standard notebook system for AI, data, whatever else on Kubernetes. It aims to support every IDE that you can run in a web browser, even some that you can't over SSH. Not straight away for that one, but but the whole idea is to make everything better. So if you're interested in learning more, please read this, or we can ask questions later. There's a roadmap doc which we're going to update more, but this is how we're planning to get the first RC, not RC, wrong word, alpha kind of version out that has the minimum viable features, and it's written from the perspective of types of users, you know, an AI practitioner, a platform engineer, and sort of this kind of admin kind of role. And this is these are the kind of core needs that they have, and then we're kind of mapping them to epics, and epics have owners and lots of features under them, and those are the things we'll be talking about. Okay. Last part is if anyone wants to say hi who hasn't said hi before in these meetings, feel free to do so. You can either chat or unmute yourself and say hi if I'll give people time. If not, then always welcome to do so. Okay. Last call for the CFPs. So if whether it's Kubeflow or not, or notebooks or not, the CFP deadline is the 27th of May. Please submit before then. Obviously, that is also I don't know. Is that UTC minus? Okay, I don't know if it's. I need to confirm that that is actually the correct time. It probably is. So if you want to submit it, it's very easy to make a submission. It's not scary at all. Like, I'm thinking, if you're afraid of talking, it might be. But like, what I'm saying is, this people who review the papers, they're not gonna like be mad at you if you are new to the stuff. Like, the CNCF loves it when people give talks. You'd be surprised that, you know, if your idea, if you believe in something, it's probably good. You know what I mean? And that's kind of, and making a good talk about it, the CNCF loves it. You get to share what you learn with people, whether you're a user. To be clear, you can be a user as well. Like, you're allowed to give users case studies or maintainer of stories as well. Just want to highlight that. We will be submitting at least one CFP for Notebooks 2.0, me and Eder, but that's mainly just an announcement because we're hoping that we have some kind of general availability by November. Yeah, just always reminder again, like when you're making issues in use the labels rather than these // things again, just so that you don't end up with messes. So you can label things by going /area v2 or /area frontend. You can see the available labels by looking at the repo under issues, labels. Oh, not there, labels. So you got area backend CI controller docs frontend, and you've also got some other areas as well. And also you have v1 and v2. And yes, I know area is v1 and v2. It's a bit confusing. Okay, AMD notebook images. I just want to highlight, if is anyone from AMD here? I do feel slightly bad last time, but we do need to have a generic solution. So I do expect a solution that doesn't require any changes on our end, as it doesn't already for Intel or NVIDIA. So it would be, yeah, in the interest of AMD to fix that, I think. If no one's here, that's fine. I just want to highlight that we still care. Notebooks migration and data dashboard migration. So this is critical for the graduation of the project as well. So like, obviously, I think Andy and I have been working on it. We need to probably follow up on a couple of things there. The one thing so we do need to finish the CI thing. So I guess, do you have time to look through that today, Andy, or have we made any progress there?
The PRs from me and Milan were still in limbo last I checked.
Sorry,
and I haven't gotten any notifications.
Yes. Okay. I will make sure that we do that today then. Okay. And then we do need to go through the PRs that we closed on the other repo. And if they're actually important, maybe I'll make a spreadsheet or something, and or maybe I'll just make an issue which says, please, the ones that we can agree whether we care or not, and if it has a new issue, a new PR raised, because some people already raised their PRs again. But again, they'll need to rebase after the tests anyway. So, yeah. We also need to practice doing a release because we haven't had the releasing ones, and I don't want to cut a release on this, but I don't think we have a choice because otherwise we're gonna try and cut a release and screw up something because we need to update the packages to be able to push to the GitHub container registry. So I don't know. And we do need to also remove the code from Kubeflow, and then evaluate this dashboard rewrite. As we were talking about before the meeting. Okay. Anyone got any comments about notebooks 1.0 or migration of code before we move across to 2? If not, then that's pretty simple. Okay. I guess if you have tasks that you've been working on, please add your task down here in the stand-up section. While we're doing that, we'll quickly go through. Edo, do you want to explain these epic things?
Yeah, I think we can start from what we're trying to achieve on the sprint.
Okay, where do you want me to go?
Yeah, let me find where is on the doc. I'm kind of lost. It's the beginning, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I just clicked there. Yeah. So what we're trying to achieve this month is that Bella data science here wants to create a workspace by selecting for a clear catalog of workspace kind, select an image, a pod config, another volume, and a secret. And we will not provide any feedback of if it fails or not, so it will be just a happy path. And before secrets and volume, we adjust mounting them, so we're not created. And I want to be able to start and stop and connect to her workbench. So this is our goal. And as Matthew said, we break down those in epics for those features that are mapped with our milestones, and sometimes those epics are most of the time those epics are long-lived, and we have to deliver in features is incremental delivery for each one and break down features into tasks.
Also, I don't know if we'll quite get that by the middle of May. We're almost in May, but yes, we'll see.
Yeah, we are almost there. The last time that what is missing, we are able to create workbenches already, stop and start if we merge that pull request that is open for Andy, and the connect part is you be the hardest one, but we can we can be the straight goal.
Is the front end actually connecting to the back end now?
Yep.
Okay.
From a local perspective, Matthew, we have the deploy 2.0 task to make sure stuff works all remotely, right? But and I can share with you or editor, I don't know if you posted on YouTube, but like by juggling different branches, I did a demo, Matthew, that shows this stuff, but it's required, you know what I mean? Front end's running on one branch, back end running on another. But we do have an end-to-end that's demonstrable.
Yeah, I just don't want to share this, Andy, just because it's your video.
If we have time, if we have time at the end, we can. But yeah, we'll get through status updates.
No, I think it'd be a nice way to start this.
But wouldn't that be under like his one, or would that be like when we're doing his epic update?
I really don't own this epic per se. Yeah, if you do you just want me to do the video, or did you post it, Eder?
Yeah, I posted there.
Where did you post it?
No, let me just find the link.
Okay.
Yeah, I just share with you, Andy, because this is your video. It's just hoping to be on my channel. Yeah.
Where is it? Is it public or not?
It is public, yeah. It's unlisted, but it's Andy voice, is Andy recording, and we can probably do something for the community exclusively later when you merge all the pull requests.
Okay. So we're gonna show anything? Or, do you want me to show this or not?
It's 5.5 minutes long, so I don't know if we want. Like I said, I think.
No, I think Andy would be nice if you can click on the. Finish.
I can.
Yeah, okay, sure. Go ahead.
Yeah, if you can put a mute and do a speed run, like two axes you're gonna see running in the middle.
Do you want me to mute it? Yeah.
Yeah, and go in the middle.
Middle? Oh yeah, I'm just. Oh, okay, sure. I'll just scrape through.
It's because he's Andy explaining that he's running is super great, but it's just for. Yeah, and then here starts. You don't want to narrate this, Andy? Or if you
Yeah, sure. So, here, like I said, stuff running locally. You can see that on the terminal on the right-hand side. So, I have a bunch of stuff. This is all bootstrapped in a kind cluster. So I'm going to come in here to demonstrate, creating a new workspace from the Jupyter Lab workspace kind. So select the kind. We're going to select the image. Did it just? Oh, I must have been doing a bunch of talking there. Sorry. So yeah, so select the image. We're going to select the pod config, and then we will come in for the properties, giving it an arbitrary name. This is the volumes and secrets section. These things were previously created on the cluster. So home director is really the name of the PVC we want. And then with the create volume, we'll provide the PVC name there and also give it a mount path. And then with the secret, this has the backend API support, so we accept it. However, we still need the controller PR merge. This isn't pushing it like all the way down to actually inject it into the pod, but at least it is, truthful smoke and mirrors to show how this experience will work. We have talked about obviously, reskinning that default mode, but it's all text boxes right now to keep things simple and incremental. And so then we go and, create that guy. You can see in the first row here, this was the demo workspace that I created. We still don't have things like as reactive as we would like. So, the UI just pulls right after create, which is why it's in an unknown state. So then you see me interacting with the kind cluster in the lower right-hand side to show the status. We do see it, in fact, is running. So then we refresh the browser to see that state. There's a bug right now with a PR open where the namespace selector kind of isn't persistent, right? So it just kind of randomly chooses a new one. So you'll see me switching back there. Here's me demonstrating stop workspace. And then if we kick back over to the terminal to check this, we'll see that the state is correctly reflected as paused.
This is the pending PR, right, Andy?
Yes, yes. This is the This is the backend API for start stop isn't merged yet. But so refresh, go back to the default workspace,
we are fixing this
and then
well.
you can see it paused, and then we come in here and do the dance all over again, but go from pause to started. And here's talking about, the update and start is, kind of all future work. So we're just interested in right now in kind of the naive start of this pod.
So yeah, to be clear, that one will be obviously, that's one of the PRs that I need to probably make today, which is like changing how the redirects apply, or they don't apply for the controller.
But yeah, so then we click the start button, then you can come in and see that, in kind it reflected, and then we updated here, and sure enough, that demo workspace is now listed as running again. So Connect is not there yet. The hope is Harshad will be able to start to look at that this sprint. I know he's on PTO today. But yeah, so we are, that's all, live code running. So like I said, a couple, smoke and mirrors there just on, getting branches. Guillerme's branch for the UI, that work has been merged. So it's just a couple on the back end to pull that off. And then the Istio stuff then is the real crux.
Yeah, I can use this as a status for my Epic. So coming back for a question, Matthew, we are almost there in my point of view to have the work for that sprint. Two things that we need to work on: the start stop on Andy that I reviewed the pull request for the BFF, and Andy apply it, because this is running locally. We are waiting for tilt to be merged on the controller to reproduce the tilt on the backend, the pull request. So it's the tilt pull request that we need to merge the controller for copy and send the backend. And we need also to work on the secrets pull request. Need a better solution for volume to creation volumes, but this will be there, but based secrets, and also the connect button that is the stretch goal. So we are kind of we are evolving on this one. I'm pretty happy with the result of everyone, and thank you so much everyone for those 2 weeks. It just comparing with the progress that we did like before, we are going super fast.
Cool. Just need to make sure I write down this one thing as well, which was down here, which we didn't talk about, which was.
And just for someone watching the recording, this is all incremental work. Like as Matthew mentioned, that we are still building incrementally. There was thing that you saw in the Y, like the redirect, that not to work on this way. So take everything that you show in the recording as incremental work that would be polish.
Yeah, still very. There's some foundational stuff that's unlikely to change, but the UI elements and ways things are selected are going to change. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, things like redirects, I don't know what that was. I'm assuming that was just like a hard-coded thing, or what was that? Yeah.
Yeah. Just hard coded from like sample CRs and whatnot. Yes.
But was it actually being read from the status of the controller, or?
Yes, I just used the config/samples workspace kind and copy pasted the crap out of it in various other workspaces to create that data. So yeah.
Cool. Okay, so editor next thing, or do you want to talk about?
That's I'm already on the status of for my epic if you
Okay.
want to go.
Which
Yeah.
one's your one?
And the yes, and this one. Yeah. I still need to update this update because I have multiple calls on this, but this is I'll do by voice. Like I need to keep better track. We need what our blocking was mostly is the secrets PR and the pause on pause that is pending to deliver this for the next month.
Which part's messing with the pause?
The pause we need to merge the pull request for Matthew, for Andy. If Andy did it change, Andy, that I asked for you yesterday?
Yeah, based on
Yep.
feedback that you and Harshad gave me, those updates
So yeah,
have been pushed.
I need to do another round of review and merge and the pull request to allow pause and unpause on the front end on the BFF on the back end.
And I assume that this was quite side note there. Almost certainly, whatever that API is should also allow redirects, maybe like applying updates, or because you know what I mean. Like I'm not.
The actions.
Yeah, like I
Yep.
mean, at a certain point, like because like the most common time to do the updates will be at that time, right? Will be shutting down or starting up, and I'm not sure.
Yep.
You can already pause and unpause if you pass the whole spec. You know what I mean in the backend API. But
So
like,
it'll be a stop and update.
These endpoints were much more granular. So yeah, these are just start stop.
because how many times are we really going to do a start on its own? If there's an update, what's the flow? You know what I mean? Like, what will the front end do if they want to do an update? You know, a redirect, apply a redirect. You know, is it going to be in that?
Before that, we are talking about allow user to apply the update every time in a restart.
Well, it's going to be UI driven, right? So whatever the front end, it's like it's never going to happen automatically. So it's kind of like the UI knows that there's an update because it sees it in the status, but like, then how do they choose to apply it? Do they apply it?
I think is apply and start. I didn't think much on this, but I'm thinking all the macOS they do like for some reason that probably they have a good reasoning. They assume is they do updates on start.
Yeah, like definitely the UI should offer it, but I'm just wondering, does it need to be 2 API calls, or should it be 1? Or it'll be different depending on the kind of workspace kind as well, though. That's my only other concern, right?
Yeah, but there is no stop and update, and not pause and update. It's just a start and update, right?
Well, Windows actually does have shutdown and update now, too.
It is? Oh, so it can change later. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, but again, that's a UI-driven thing. I'm just saying from an API, when we're making that API, should we include... I'm a bit worried about putting it in the stop-start, because stop-start is somewhat generic. Like, it's going to be probably on every type of kind, like VMs and pods. But for...
My concern is that when we can move this for later probably, but doing an upgrade in a stop, right? If there is an error, we will need to create another state.
Well, the upgrade is just I'll agree that something could happen. Yeah, you're right. Something weird could happen. It's not likely, but it is possible. Yeah.
Because when I do upgrades in the start, there is an error state as well that we handle, right?
I think it makes sense because the thing doing the actual backend, meaning the controller webhook thing, doesn't consider a partial update. It considers the whole state, right? So it makes more sense to only apply updates by sending the entire payload of the workspace kind again. You know what I mean? But that means that you have to get it and then do it again. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, and also you could imagine situations in the future where having a separate stop API might not be safe, because like, what if we have some kind of because it is a partial update again, right? Where we're saying like, we don't have it right now, but what if there's some case where you're not allowed to stop it for some reason, you know? Like it's I don't know, like, I don't know what situation that could be, but you know, it's kind of like the danger with pulling partial updates out of the thing, because it means that the backend errors might not be easy to propagate to the front end. That's kind of my only, where it's kind of like the webhook might be like, this is an invalid request for these 3 reasons, but what does that mean to the front end caller? Yeah, it's like the question
And
is
if I do stop and update and this update fail, should I still stop? You know, all the different questions that
well,
starts.
update will succeed, to be clear. Updating is just changing the options that are selected. The question, it's like failure is only determined once we start the pod, right? You know, if the pod fails to start, right? Which is a bit different. And it depends on what you changed. I don't think it's quite the same as like a Linux update. You know, it's a bit different because we're just swapping. It's like we're swapping a VM image rather than you know, it's less likely to fail. Who knows? Anyway, having a start and stop API is fine. Mainly so that we can have a restart one. But I don't know. We'll see. Okay, cool. Any updates here? So what's the status of this? I guess you've showed some stuff. Is there anything else you've got? Like what's blocking? What's
No. What's blocking is to finish the secrets PR. I need to update it. Finish the secrets PR and also the start and stop that I mentioned that I'm going to work out with Andy.
cool?
Do.
Yep. Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay, I'll let Andy go first. Second again, because he's at the top here.
Yeah, so deploy Kubeflow Notebooks 2.0, little bit of traction on that. Have a developer looking at containerizing the back end. They asked for just like I don't think a PR is open yet, but they wanted a second set of eyes on some of the changes they were doing. So I plan on reviewing that today. Once we get back end in a good shape, we'll then roll forward to look at front end there as well. So, you know, some progress is going on there. Nothing blocking, and then repository setup and developer experience. Got a lot of issues opened, or not a lot, but I'm starting to get issues opened up to kind of flesh this out. I do not think this will, you know, need to be. There's a lot of initial work just to kind of get things in a good state, but then it'll kind of tamp down. So I got some issues opened up just yesterday. Start to improve. Testing and coverage of back end is kind of an initial focus. And then Matthew, the 325 and 327 for that first one. I have the sub issue command PR opened as well as then just a really simple PR to create some issue templates. And yeah, so I think that looks good. The issue template one, again, copied a lot of the work that Ed already did in creating this stuff, and him and Jenny had reviewed that. So
where's the issue one?
325, I think, is
that's the sub issue one. But you mean
320? Did I link it wrong, or that's always a possibility? Yeah. Here we go. And then if you scroll down, I show the templates here in the. There's a PR open. I could probably. It's linked to this PR as well. But then there's a PR open for this as well that uses these templates.
Yeah, okay.
And like I said, this has gotten a couple reviews on it. So, I mean, if you have any feedback, happy to take it. But
the main one to check is this one, right? Because this one could go really wrong if something's...
This actually has like code involved. The other one is just we like the formatting or we don't, and that's easy to change. But I linked on this issue. I copy pasted this. I have this on a private repo of mine, and you can see a long list of commands in which I'm trying to hit different edge cases and inputs, and it'll spit back and add a comment for errors and, you know, do all of that fun jazz. And the GitHub API, for me beating the crap out of it, is pretty robust in returning useful error messages and whatnot. So
wait a second. So how did you why are you using Bash rather than the JavaScript thing?
Just like using CLIs, so I implemented it in Bash.
It's a bit weird. Like, the only reason I'm a bit worried about this is like this is not guaranteed to be stable in the same way that the JavaScript one is. But the yeah, I mean, interesting. Like, yeah, I mean, I'm interested. Yeah, like, I mean, some yeah, this is interesting as well.
Well, you can submit, you know, depending on how you add an issue. And again, I show this code in practice, but if you copy paste a link, it's a URL that needs parsed differently than number sign. You know, like even though GitHub will coalesce everything to #number, when you add the comment, you could physically type in #number or copy and paste a URL, both of which are valid, and that's what this particular piece is.
Yes.
And I support naked numbers too for fun, but that's why that is there.
I just wonder. I don't know. I'm hesitant to use Bash for a number of reasons, but like yeah, like I mean, yeah.
All the Kubeflow dashboard GitHub actions I saw were written in Bash, so that was kind of what
I mean, well, like just for one that needs to run potentially thousands of times, it's just like the only reason. But yeah, like it's not a huge problem. There's also like the much more security risks of like making sure that things can't inject and other things like that. But as long as the permission, okay.
You have to have right to do the sub issue.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, yeah. So like, because I was more expecting, I'm not saying you have to do it, and I'm not saying this is wrong. I'm just saying like, it's a little bit not what I was expecting, but like I was more expecting something like this, where you have a JavaScript thing, and then you can just import all the JavaScript stuff, and then you can even do things like, I believe you get a lot of the objects from the thing in a pre-structured form. So like, including the issue that was associated, well, not the one that's targeting, I guess, but the one.
Yeah, the targeting issue is the problem. The other issue is available in an environment variable.
Yes. Because like the other aspect is, I don't know if, I've also seen that you can do like, this, you can even get the slash here. So it never even, like it literally doesn't run anything if the prefix isn't there in the comment. You know what I mean? Like if the like you can, like what I've seen many times is that because this can happen in milliseconds. You know what I mean? If like, because the whole body of the text of the thing is included within this object from the outer layer of GitHub Actions. So I've seen, as long you can literally check for the presence of slash whatever the command prefix is.
So I mean it does. Okay, yeah. So you're saying so I do,
like you can literally
do that,
skip
but do
that
it within the if.
Yes, that's what I was saying.
I guess the complexity there, and again, if like the repo that I linked to calls this out. Maybe that, I guess if you can search the entire body. I guess.
So that's what I've seen almost everyone does for slash commands. Yeah,
if you want to throw comments on there, I'm happy to take a look at that. But I do scan. I do scan through to make sure if a line starts with slash. That's
all that
the only
happens is
time
you
it'll
just need
actually
to
do it.
like, it's very simple from it. Don't forget this is a regex, right? So all you would need to do is look for begins with line terminator. A line terminator followed by a / followed by something that would match one of the possible valid ways of doing it, and then a new line terminator. You know what I mean? So that if you're so that if someone does a quote, like a comment, like if someone is, I don't know, it's like you should like if someone's quoting someone else's command, it shouldn't happen then, because the quote should be with a forward arrow. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I
do. That logic is in place today, but
yes.
It's not on the if. But I do handle, like, I even have an example on my test repo: random comment / command, random comment / command. You know what I mean? And it'll, but yeah.
And there's also the other aspect, which is usually the prowlbot will write a comment in response saying this person did this, because otherwise if they delete their comment, it's not clear who did the thing as well, right? You know what I mean? So like if someone tries to hide the fact that they did something.
So I can.
Yeah. I'm not saying we have to.
I can add that because, I'm already spitting in the last block of this. There's an, if failure that spits out the, if it didn't work. So I could easily do a similar thing.
I mean, like I can show you. I mean, I've got some examples of other not this type of command which use JavaScript in this kind of format and do all that kind of logic. If you would like to see them, I don't know. Like it depends on if we want to like.
If the feedback is please use JavaScript, I'm very comfortable with
that's my only like. I'm not. I mean, we're going too far into technical details anyway. I'm just like, if it works, it works. But like, I'm just worried that this may not scale to many. Like the error conditions might get kind of complicated, right? There are like also like other things like does this actually do retries? Like because the other thing is when the JavaScript API, anytime you do a post, there's an implied retry in here. And exponential backoff as well. So like it's like I don't know, right? It's just something we need to think about it. I agree that we need this feature, but like security reviewing that is going to be a lot harder than security reviewing this. I think that's my only kind of worry, and it's only just because it's anyway. Okay, we come back. Sorry, we'll think about that. Okay. Thanks for doing the work though. You figured out that it is possible, and it's pretty much going to have this. You pretty much can just translate this almost with.
No, it's I mean, it's this, switching out from using the GHCLI to the JavaScript library. I'm not worried about that. The
almost identical
approach is the same. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, you could even probably use AI to do it, to be honest. But
yes.
Anyway, sorry, we got very sidetracked there. Okay. So that's great. We do need that feature, obviously. That's awesome. And the epic issues, I guess we can't do that until we've got this. We can't merge that until we've got this command. But
well, the templates we could merge whenever. This just saves because it's really annoying for me to remember epic feature task. What the section. So I mean that's just a static issue template thing.
Does it explain how to use the slash commands or?
No. This is like for me if I want to create an epic, create a feature, create a task. I guess I could add in comments on
that's what I was thinking.
Commands. Sorry.
Okay. That's because like it's helpful for people. I don't know how we could do it, but like maybe as a dash kind of in the template.
Well, yeah, because here, like if we could merge this as is, because you can see here in this features one that you're showing, I include the scroll up to 04 planning feature.md. Sorry, this one. You see, like on line 23. This is reflecting our current state, which is we include the stuff as lists in the issue. And then the plan was once the slash command comes in to change this, I was going to remove that section, but I can add additional text to say, here's how to use the slash command. So I think if we merge this one, quote unquote, now, I mean, not like now, but as soon as possible, then that helps.
It's fine to merge it now as long as, as long as someone else has tested it. Like, I mean, other people say they've tested it. Like, it looks reasonable. I do worry that other people might use it. You know what I mean? Like some people.
I have a separate. I mean, other people could create these issues right now. I wanted a separate conversation for later around resurrecting your idea about internal ACLs and maybe doing something here with a on issue created GitHub action. But we don't need to get into the details of that on this call. But yes, ideally, in my end state of all of this, quote unquote,
is there any way we could make
contributors
it so that it comes up at the bottom at least, like so that like
so that's why I ordered it as like, well, I don't think it can come in after the descriptions, but I ordered it after bug report and feature request.
Okay, how did you
that's why it's 03, 04, 05.
It's this numbers. Okay, yes, that's great. Yes, that makes sense. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to be doing a whole bunch of reviewing of many things today, so I will make sure that is on the list. Okay, sorry. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked. Let's keep going. So anything else that's blocking your stuff?
And so I'll cover like stuff. So that's the overview of the epic. I'll cover stuff on stand up. So I'm good on that.
Okay, cool. Definitely till I'll be also doing today, I think. Okay, so let's keep going. So Eder is already gone. Polo?
Hello. Yeah, so we had some progress on the front-end side for the start-stop. Guilherme's PR was merged, solving that issue for the front end. And for the edit workspace, we started to work on the edit workspace. Guilherme prepared the front end to support the feature, but while we don't have the back end, the button is commented, so it's just not there without any function.
The front stop, you mean?
For the edit workspace.
Oh, for edit.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so the question I have is what's blocking it then? Is it?
Right now we need the backend for the edit workspace to finalize the task.
And so yeah, editing on the backend is going to be an interesting question, right? Is this aimed for this sprint, Eder?
No, this is not aimed for this sprint. Sorry. Yeah, we anticipated the front end for next sprint because we had extra hands to work. but we just merged the PR so the front end is prepared and the work is easier once we have the backend.
Did you assume any specific API structure with the edit, or is it just like using the same as create but with a slash update?
Do you want to comment, Guilherme, on that?
Yeah. Let me check here. For the edit, I think we are using the same URL, but with post or patch. But since this is not defined yet, I think I'm using a post, but it doesn't do anything, right? Because the backend doesn't support yet. But as soon as the backend is provided, we can adapt the front end.
Yeah, Guilherme, there is still discussion on this. If I'm probably going to do it with a patch, but there is a lot of work for
You mean
you
a
to
put?
do on the white. A put, yeah.
Because like at least right now, I think
No, yeah,
the only reason I'm not suggesting we use patch. Well, I mean, I don't know what we said here, but we said. That's interesting.
No, we can use a put. A put is fine as well. It's just to say that Caponetto has a lot of work on the front end that doesn't need this right now, right, Caponetto? The decision.
Yep, exactly.
Either way, yeah. So my assumption is that you'll be sending the entire payload for the whole workspace. That's kind of what I was meaning, rather than a patch.
Yep.
Yeah. Because I feel like that's a put, right? Is that?
Yeah, that's a put. Yeah, that's a put.
Yeah. From a REST perspective. Okay. Awesome. Anything blocking you? I guess these aren't technically blocking a sprint, but you know, anything that is. Have you have enough people working on stuff and everything?
Oh yeah, we had Guilherme needing a task, so we decided to anticipate the front end, but it's not.
So I guess if
not the
you have
backend is
enough
blocking
tasks,
because it's not. Yeah.
like because if you've done these tasks, is there another task you need to add to this epic, or?
I mean, for the edit.
Or just like, is this also going to include things like the admin page, or is that a separate epic editor?
It's a separated one.
Okay.
This is just for the user to edit their own.
Cool. I imagine that your create stuff, I feel like this epic will live for a little bit of time, just so that we can make that experience as good as possible. But yeah. But probably it needs to be merged with the create one because it's very similar once that first epic is done, I guess, right? Do we agree, or I don't know. But we'll see. Okay, anything else? Got like a couple minutes.
Oh, that's it.
Cool. This one, Hashad, I guess, is he here?
Harshad's on PTO today. He's still been doing some other stuff on Red Hat side. He was hoping this week or next week to start to be able to pivot back around and look at this. So I don't think there's been any updates. I didn't sync with him, so for the sake of the recording, I might be inaccurate, but I'm pretty sure he's been on other stuff.
Okay, cool. What was the backend to do here? Interesting. Okay, well, let's keep going. Okay, yeah, so I mean, that connecting is obviously, we need to decide on the back some of those Istio things. At very least, we're definitely going to support Istio first, though, either way. So, or at least support Istio. So, if we don't end up having a decision on the other stuff, we can still move forward with that piece. Okay. I think this is missing the virtual service one, but I guess yeah, we need links here, I guess, as well. That's okay. We don't really have features. Wait, that's a feature link. Is that the right one? No, it's not. That's probably why. I'm just gonna check if that is actually meant to be that. Yeah. Okay. There you go. Awesome. Let's keep moving on. Okay. UI refinements. For Jenny, if not, then I'll just open it. Cool. Seems like there's lots of work going on here. So,
and I know she's been from like status updates I've been getting internally. I know that the focus of her is like the reusable components in repo and swapping stuff out, as well as PR reviews.
Cool. Okay. Let's.
Yeah, Jenny created also a few issues regarding some feedback we got for the UI to improve a few components. So I believe they are there.
Okay. We're kind of getting some confusion going on with tasks and features here, but yes, okay. I think just for reference, we're meant to have features under here and then tasks under features, but I guess this is kind of breaking down a little bit here because it's kind of hard to define.
We talked with Jenny about this, and some of these tasks are so one-off that we just said, instead of just creating a feature that literally is tied one-to-one with the task for small enough things, just put the task directly on the epic.
Or we could just make a feature that's like in a category and then put a couple under there. Like that's kind of like it's because this epic obviously is like it's a bit strange in its first place, right? Like I think that's kind of the reason. But yeah, because if
It's
that
just
happens,
kind of a placeholder, yes, exactly, to like get a hodgepodge of things.
I think we should try and be consistent at least. Like even if it means just creating an epic that's like under one feature, you know what I mean? Like do it at the feature level, just so that it's like, I don't know, right? It's not that. I don't think it's that hard to just make a feature called like, you know, whatever is common about a few things, right? You know what I mean? And like, I don't know.
Okay, we'll talk with Jenny.
Or like maybe it could be related to the first
calls.
thing, like something. It could like because the idea is also like helping us understand when to prioritize stuff. So like maybe it's like the minimum required for the first thing. I don't know, right? Like maybe that's the feature. Like get the UI in a, or maybe because the thing is like epics don't have acceptance criteria. That's why we can't do it like this. Features have acceptance. So like think about what would be the acceptance. It's like, okay, a user study results in no significant feedback or something, right? You know what I mean? Like that's like a feature, right? You know, that because like yeah, that's my only reason for like being militant about the you know.
Okay, no, that's great feedback. We'll talk. I talked with Jenny a couple times throughout the week in between these calls, so I'll queue this up and we'll discuss and I'll have her follow up next week.
Because yeah, what did we actually explicitly say epics were? They were a user story, right? Whereas
epics are a story, yes.
And like epic, yeah, does not have implementation details. Must have a clear path. Yeah, and a feature we didn't describe them that much, but yeah, like effectively, yeah, it's that features have acceptance criteria as far as I'm aware, right? Like they're meant to at least.
Features have general acceptance criteria, and then the task is like very implementation technical
just
in terms of
about, anything under there. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Cool. I get, and that also just helps keep structure of like when we know things are done. Yeah.
Matthew, did you finish this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, just before the moving on, there was one important conversation on Slack regarding the workspace kind that I want to brought for you and attention in the community as well, because Paulo proposed a flow on Slack. The thread's called workspace drill down, and that will be part of our next sprint, like for the next month. So I would love feedback for everyone on the thread. Is this thread here?
Okay. I'll see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. It's okay, I'll just link it, I guess. I don't know where to link it. Where is it?
This is how. No, this is will be a new epic.
Oh, I see.
This is when the cluster admin wants to see how many workspaces are running in a specific kind for each image type and how he do actions over those workspaces.
Do we have it under this roadmap or not?
Yep, we have already on the roadmap. I will create an epic for this.
Which one is it under here? Is it?
Go ahead. Up a little, sorry.
That one? No.
It's Joe. It's Joe monitor
307. It's the
307.
modern
Yes, 307
GPU.
Yeah. 307.
Okay, and so this specifically is around just. That's a little bit okay. I guess this is a little bit different though. This one's focused on like the idle resources, right? Or is this?
Yeah, but in order to see the idle resources, first I need to go there because we are going to do a smaller scope, right? It's going from workspace kind, see which workspace are running, see which type of workspaces, and then go filtering by image in the pod. And then he can, because remember that what we're doing is incremental on this. Is before talking about custom probe and sort of stuff, we need to navigate from workspace kind for our workspace.
So is there anything specific you want feedback on? I know you've got this link here, like in the chat, but it's
It's on the Y flow that we're proposing there. That's the most important part for now.
Around specifically just doing the actions or around viewing them?
No, around viewing them, around navigating from a workspace kind for for the workspace kind to the workspace. And maybe I can even talk about this, Paul and myself, on the next meeting for us to have a call. But if you can read before, it would be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I can link it, but yeah, it's not super clear. Like this is mostly just about viewing, right?
Yep, it's going from a workspace kind for a workspace.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those interesting things, right? Like, how do we? Yeah, it's one of those things where I think until we have something and iterate on it, it's going to be very hard to, like.
Yes, yes, because Paulo and myself, Paulo, I'm talking about you. If you're gonna talk as well, we would like to put this UI first, but this UI has some big requires two designs. One to have all our workspace listing and this sort of stuff. But we can talk about this offline.
Yeah, there's some backend stuff, but it's like, yeah, like I think sometimes we just need to take a stab at something, you know what I mean, and then just see what people like.
Yeah, if Paulo and myself can do that, we're gonna just do this and we can revert as always.
Yeah, so the comment is from the 19th of May. It was I don't know how to. It's in the chat, but it's I don't know how to link it easily here, but yes, okay. Cool. If you guys are happy, then that's all that we need. Really okay. Let's move on to the last part. So, is there any other things you want to add there, Eder, before we quickly move on? We're pretty much at the end of time, but we can.
Nope.
Okay. So, I mean, for people who want to talk about specific things, and have time, who is anyone? How are we gonna do this? Are we gonna? Does anyone have any specific things that they really want to talk about, or and have to leave?
I can go. We don't need to do my update, but there is something I wanted to quickly get your input on, Matthew. So we can skip my status update. I typed a bunch.
I think so. Apollo, is this similar to what you were talking about before, or is this different?
No, this is different. This is about the workspace kind detail. So basically, we are adding a drawer similar to what we have in the workspace list screen to show the details for that kind. And we plan to have I think it's 3 tabs for now. One is overview with the general data of the kind. One is to list the images of that kind, and one to list the pod configs. Then for each image, that links to what Eder was saying before. So for each image, once we would show how many workspaces are using that kind and that image, and then we could add a link on that counter to link to the workspace list screen. And then when this screen is opened, we would already load with the appropriate filters to list only those workspaces that use that image for that kind. That's basically the idea, to reuse the UI, which would be a easy win to categorize workspaces by kind and by image and by pod config.
Categorize workspaces by that, or workspace kinds?
We could see the workspaces that use any specific kind, a specific image, and a specific pod config easier by doing that.
Yes. Oh wait, you mean like, so you actually want to know the specific ones that use it?
Yeah.
There
is muted. Sure.
Muted, Eder.
In our Slack, I just paid the SVG there with the diagram that I wrote to Paul.
Yeah, Eder illustrated well the idea there, so I think.
Where did you paste it to me, or?
No, I copy SVG for you in the chat.
Okay, let
me Slack chat.
They just try opening
in the browser we want to work.
Yeah, let me just try. That work? Or it? Okay, I have to download it to view it. Yeah, because like the only concern there is like we intentionally didn't put the information in the status of all of the workspaces that are specifically using it. We just count the totals. Just mainly because it might get too big if we listed all of the workspaces themselves that are using each one.
Can I explain for you, Matthew, if you do a zoom out on the image?
I mean, I understand the goal, but it's just
Yeah. The main from the workspace kind, like with the only cluster admin can access, right? They can go there in the right. Then you have workspace kind details, and you have image config and the number. When you click on the number, we'll swap for the Kubeflow workspaces view with selector for all, because I'm searching for all workspaces, and use this as a filter.
Yeah, all namespaces. Yeah.
Yeah, the biggest change on this, Matthew, is that we are going to change instead of filtering by namespace, we are going to filter in all. So probably on the back end, we're going to have a cluster admin, requires a cluster, use a cluster admin APIs to fetch the workspaces across multiple namespaces, right?
Yeah, we do already have that, but yeah, I'm just thinking how does that work from a permission perspective? Yeah, like it's.
But works. I was talking to Paul that we are kind of assuming that the people with going with workspace kind will be a cluster admin.
Yes.
So he can do queries around multiple namespaces, right?
Well, it depends on what you mean, because like being able to see workspace kind is different from being able to update it. But
no, this person that see this tab is already a cluster admin on the top, so he has permissions to see and to see everything.
Yes.
And when he goes from the workspace kind through the workspace for the cluster admin that has all selected there, Paulo suggested to have special actions here and do the bulk actions on the same way.
Wouldn't this be better to not be in the user UI then, like under some tab that we can restrict somehow?
Could be as well. But
Yeah.
but what we want, right, Paulo, is to reuse the same table.
Wouldn't it be a slightly different table there, or would it? Like,
It's
I
the
mean,
same table.
I mean, physically the same
pre-filter.
table is one thing, but like, what I mean is like connect. Like, do they need connect, and do they need stop and like? Is it? I don't know. We can. Like,
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
idea was just to reuse the UI, but
it's. I'm just thinking like. Yeah, I mean, it just like is the same, the things they care about the same is my other question.
I think they want everything that workspace that the regular user wants, plus the bulk actions feature functionality.
Bulk actions will be in the UI either way. That you know, like, so normal users in their own namespace should have bulk actions as well. But I'm just, I don't know. It's interesting.
This will make our life is much more easy.
Well, I think from a permission perspective, we might have a problem. But from a so because the way that all works right now in the existing apps is it does exist, but what it does is it shows you all the ones that you have access to, not necessarily all the ones that are in the cluster. And the way that works is that the dashboard, that the central dashboard sends the list of profiles that you have access to when you're in the UI, as a JSON payload to the front, I believe, yeah, and then because that's useful for users as well to be able to see all the namespaces that they are allowed to see. I do just think that from an admin perspective, there is some separation between being an admin on a cluster and actually needing to have access to the notebooks though as well. You know, like it's kind of, it might be good that they don't have access, you know what I mean, to the notebooks themselves or the data, you know, whereas it might be, at least that it's not implied, like that you're doing maintenance on the workspace kind and that you have access to the notebooks themselves, especially for companies with sensitive stuff. But I'm not saying that this is not how we would end up doing it from a UI, like usage of elements perspective, but I'm just wondering if there is a need to keep it not under this, like under a separate path as well, and restrict certain fields so that it's
so it'll be the same UI in two different endpoints,
but with like certain columns filtered maybe, or something. Like, I don't know, right? It's not super clear the best way to do it. And also, like, just from an admin perspective, I feel like there will be things that are just different, right? That like maybe, I think we talked about it, it's pretty similar what we talked about, you know, but maybe the nesting is different. Like, because like I'd imagine the first thing I would, when I click on a workspace kind, the thing I probably care about is view by option. You know, like when I click, like whenever I'm on this table, probably the next thing I want to view by is option, right?
And you'll be on the drawer, right?
but like what I would imagine is I'd want to see like almost aggregated ones. I don't know, right? Like, because let's say there's like 100 options in this workspace kind, like it could get quite big, and then it's like, okay, what am I doing, right? Like, there's like what are the coming back to the actions that the admin could take. It's like I want to for like edit the workspace kinds, that's fine. But then what about if I want to just like see all the workspace kinds that are using this option for some reason?
Oh, this will be a different query. I see. Yeah.
And it's like I don't want to see everyone for every anyway. Andy?
Oh, I was just gonna say I think this is all good, but I like in incremental delivery. It seems like we could start here and evolve to that too, right? So I don't think this needs to be written in stone. Like I feel like this satisfies the core need. All this input is valuable, but we can probably get this in place and then carve out how we really want it to look. But literally reusing the workspace screen short term starts to get the flow in order, and then revising that to these very valid concerns you're raising, I think is fairly easy lift and shifts beyond.
What I'm saying is that I think from a permission perspective, like we already have this workspace number overall. We already have the workspace per option. And what we could do is so that it never even touches the front end page, right? Because otherwise, I don't want the front end page queries to happen, is what I'm saying. Like what we could do is have subqueries under the workspace kind object, which are permissioned based off your ability to get the workspace kind rather than your ability to do anything on a workspace. And so like effectively, we already have the number of each option. And then we can have, so like you click here or wherever, you see those numbers per option in some nice way, maybe in a side or maybe in a different view, who knows? And then if you want to see the ones that are those options, we instead of taking you to a page with all at the top, we just take you to another page under workspace kind, which is, or tab, I don't know, which is, which initiates a backend query that on the workspace kind resource filtering by option.
No, yeah. This workspace, like,
so
we will have the works go back in the diagram there, because we will have also, besides the image and besides the Jupyter, we will have also workspace kind as selector here as well.
No, but what I'm saying is like,
you understand my point? Like imagine that here is because we don't have the workspace kind selected here, because I'm coming from it's missing in our copy and paste, because you'll be image, Jupyter, and then also the workspace kind pre-selected on this.
but like, isn't it like actually practically easier? Because like it would be, I think it would make more sense to just have effectively you like, so the first is just overview of workspaces, right? This is what already agree on that. Then you click on it somewhere, maybe just like anywhere really. Then this takes you probably to another page because there could be a lot of options, right? That are, and this depends on the kind as well. So we can't have it, right? And so you click it and then it's like, okay, pod options and image configs. And then there's a couple of different views, like view by option. And then under that, it says it sorts by, how many workspaces are using each option. And then if you click on that, or expand it in some way, like it'll run a query that says, actually get me the workspaces that are doing that. And then it just gives you a list of links that you can go directly to the corresponding page, but it may be, you may not have permission. Like the admin legitimately might not have permission for that specific one. But if they did happen to have permission, then that's okay. And then we can still do the bulk actions within this screen for those options if we wanted to. It's like, so then we can have from a Kubernetes RBAC perspective, the permissions that are being applied are that no normal user ever has any update on. So like if they have actions or whatever, like having the ability to edit the workspace kind, we need to think about it. But like what I'm saying is like we have two parts, right? We already have the workspace, like backend. I mean, on the backend parts, HTTP parts. Like we have workspaces, which all the normal stuff happens on. Yes, yeah, and but whereas I don't think normal users even, like if we go here, I'm just confirming, I don't think on the back end, workspace is back end, like here, right? So I believe when you do a workspace's get, this is the only one that normal users run. They never run the workspace kinds. These are only for admins, really. And so what I'm saying is we can have subparts here, which are like, get me like slash, I don't know, we can think about like details probably if we're doing the same pattern as the other one, or maybe list or something.
But there's two things, Matthew, I think. One is the design of the UI, and the second is the endpoints. Because here, we can use the workspaces API to query everything, and we can create an index, right, in controller runtime, based on the kind, to do this query fast.
And
use the same endpoint.
But I mean, technically you could do that, but like,
and use a kind as one of the parameters as well, because I think kind is a parameter, is a filter parameter already.
For workspaces?
I guess so. If not, we can add this, you know?
It's that's if we have time. I know we're already over time, but I wanted to talk about filtering. There's no filtering parameters right now, but that was what I wanted to discuss.
But you can do this with controller runtime indexing, isn't it?
No, I'm not saying that that's not possible. That's trivial. But what I'm meaning is like fundamentally these are two different, like this API is explicitly only for namespace, right? So like this path will always only be used for namespace, right? But
that's the second line of my discussion, is that if this API should be like have a all. You understand? This is the second part of the design.
So we literally already have that. That's there.
Yep.
But the issue is that this, from a path perspective, is a bit busted if we added some kind of other thing here. You know what I mean? Like how would you, if you wanted to apply a filter here, it would have to be a query parameter. It wouldn't
query
be
parameter,
which is fine, I guess. But again, this is not. I mean, like this, but this, like from an admin perspective, the thing I'm managing is the workspace kinds, and the workspaces are a subgroup.
But Matthew, how this get all workspaces, this go across all the I don't recall how we did that.
Well, that's just like workspaces, like if the backend is already caching all the workspaces all the time, always. So it's already got literally all of them in memory. That's fine. But what I'm saying is,
but we can provide a filter there, right? So let's split the conversation in two, Matthew. I think one is the design on the UI, or how the front end we're gonna look like, and the second is the API, I would say.
My inclination is that what we should do is very restrict the workspace kinds view, like in the admin page, like that it should really, that we should push you to the other page. Like all the bulk actions relating to workspace kinds should happen within the workspace kinds page.
So it's a separated UI for administration of the workspace.
Yeah, for the reason just being that users can go into the other one, but like when they're in that other page, they're a user and they're being treated like a user that can actually connect or not to things. Connecting is technically separate to listing, but I'm not saying this has to be the case, but I'm just saying like my inclination is that because what actually happens when you make these queries from the front end, what happens is you get your user ID, however it gets injected into the query, is provided with the query to the backend, and the backend says, are you allowed to do this? So the permission for get all workspaces is the ability to, do you have a cluster level get workspaces ability, which no one should have really, right? And so then this one is, do you have it within the scope of a namespace? This one is, do you have it on a specific workspace? Obviously, this one doesn't really matter because most of the time you would never get to this one unless you've done a namespace list. But now then the question of workspace kinds is since workspace, like the options are scoped at workspace kind level, right? So you can already just add another slash here, which is like, when you do a get a workspace kind, you already get a lot of information about the workspace kind. We already have information about how many options, like this is just given to you for free in the payload, I believe, which is, we can just confirm models.
Yes, it is. I was just looking at it yesterday. So yeah, it's in the status.
Like we already it's in the status, but I think it's even given in the
Spawner is the name. The field.
Is it given? Are the counts given?
No, the counts are only available in the status.
Okay, interesting. We don't pull those out right now, but we can. And so the like that is because they're doing that page, they get all those counts, and so we already have per option count. And then if you wanted to make a bulk action, like, because like most of these actions are going to be under like, oh, I'm going to update the kind to add a new thing or whatever else, or I want to do an action on all the workspaces that are relevant to a thing. Because like it's a question of like permissions, right? It's like, are you able to act on workspace kind, or are you able to act on workspace, right? Because like
my assumption that design is that if I can act on workspace kind, I can act on both.
But that's.
But you mentioned that some people you think that some workspace you'll be restricted, right?
It's not quite restricted. It's more like I don't want every admin to be able to access every workspace. You know what I mean? Like it's more like they should be able to initiate a bulk action on workspaces without actually knowing what they are. Without, you know what I mean? Without strictly.
I agree. No, you convinced me with the I don't want to connect. So come back for the SVG, please.
Yes.
So if you do this similar Y in the Kubeflow workspaces, we're using the same components, but we are restricted view and call like Kubeflow workspace admin or Kubeflow something like in a different page, you'll be okay.
Yeah, but it's more like just the problem still becomes, okay, like there could be a lot of options. So like this needs to probably be another tab under here where it's like I click on this and then I get a detailed view of that workspace. And then under there's like a couple of options for the views. First one being view by grouped by option, and then another by namespace, probably. And begin thinking about how that would work, who knows? Thinking about it starting from what the actual admin would want to do. So the admin wants to be able to roll out changes to the whole cluster, right? Usually they're like, we come back to these epics, right? We literally talked about them, right? Like I want to, see who's using a deprecated library, right? Who's using a thing that I don't want them to use anymore. Who's using GPUs we're about to remove from available pools, right? Who's using really expensive GPUs, you know, like whatever else, right? Like it's
but the options are pod config and image, right? Mostly.
Those are the granularity with which the workspace kind knows anything, right? It doesn't know anything more than that. But
because we have these as a tabs, you know, like when I click on workspace kind, we create the drawer and then there is those tabs.
I think this needs to be a whole screen thing, just for like size reasons, right? Like I don't know if we should have a tab maybe for some aggregated metrics like this, you know, maybe like kind of what we do for workspace, but this is more like metrics, right? Rather than but the next is like somehow I need to be able to open up like I can either take actions on, I don't know what these dots would do. What are these dots?
Yeah, the valid point from here, Paulo, that we are discussing is that this diagram is good in my point of view to navigate through stuff to find from a kind of workspace. But as soon as I want to take from one image and create a redirect, I will need a Y, and I cannot do this in the drawer, right?
So the edit page for this is where I think there's a metric, there's a details view, and then there's the edit view, right? A lot of the information you need overlaps, but like edit view should be the first thing we do, I think, because it's much more clear in the context of why you're doing it. Like bulk actions and stuff can come later, because effectively,
I think the first thing that we need to do, Matthew, is to go from workspace kind to workspace to find who is using what.
Yeah, so then I think there should be 3 clicks to get there. Personally, I think it should be click on the name, which then takes you to a new tab for workspace kind information, and then that one has a couple of tab options. I don't know how to do that graphically, but clearly there's by namespace, by option, and something else, right? It's probably a table, right? It's probably a table of, it probably looks very similar to this, but is...
That's why Paulo and I will put as we use the same filters.
Yes, I just
because
do worry
it looks similar to this.
I do just worry that this may not, that may get crazy. I don't know, right? Who knows, right? Like this.
I don't think you got crazy, Matthew.
Even if it does get crazy. Like,
I think what I like about using this table as a filter is because it's dynamic. People can add and add combinations as they want. We create a pre-setup for the admin, even if you take this and put inside a tab, right? Forget about using the same Y. But I think this pattern of have the filtering and being pre-filtered
Being
is a
able
nice
to get to a
experience.
tab like this is fine. Being able to get to one like this is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But most of the time, I don't think it's what the admin actually really needs. Like most of the time, it's just I'm doing something with this workspace kind.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wanting to understand its current state. Is anyone using it all? Like that's the number of workspaces here. You know what I mean? Like that's if no one's using it, well, I can do whatever I want. Then how many of them are actually running? So there's that question. It's like, okay, of the ones that are there, how many are not paused? How many are healthy? So these are the metrics that I would care about at the top, right? Like, and those are already exposed in the status. They're just not exposed in the backend right now. Then the next one is when I click on one, I'm like, okay, I'm looking at this specific workspace kind now. So let's say for reference, there's 100, let's say there's 1,000 image configs and 20 pod configs. So like this is now a very, very big list like of these options. So the question now is, okay, I'm looking at a specific kind. I'm not yet on this page because I'm not, it's more like now I have metrics that are more detailed than overview aggregates that are like per option aggregate and per namespace. So I've got like per namespace. These are like, and then when I click on one of them, maybe it could take me to these pre-filtered pages, like you're saying. But then it's like I could take an action on the bulk actions on that page as well, which is not requiring me to go to this page.
But I think the flow that you're sharing here encapsulates that, right? Like we're now, whether or not it's a drawer is one thing, but that upper right quadrant is that staging ground you're talking about.
We also need to be able to like another factor is that the main flow of this page is edit. Like the vast majority of reasons people are going to come to this page is editing. And so, in fact, we also need to be able to hard link from the workspace area back to the edit page for a specific option, for a specific kind as well. So like when because for the transitional period for 1.0 to 2.0, we need to have a kind of a tooltip thing which says, why can't I add a new image here anymore? You know, I used to be able to add a custom image. Why am I not allowed to do that? And then it's like, obviously, as long as they have permission, it will link them back to the corresponding workspace kind edit page, add new option, you know what I mean, page, which is like, here, take this. And then, and so I think the first thing we need to do is design the edit flow. I think that will help us with, I think all the other stuff is less important. You know what I mean? Like, I think I
guess I want to disagree because for me to be able to edit a workspace kind, I would want to understand, like you said, I'm talking about not the trivial cases where there's 0 workspaces there, right? But if you're going to edit at the kind level, I feel like this read-only flow to understand that distribution is meaningful to edit confidently.
Absolutely. But then I think that would, because that information is so critical to doing things like adding a redirect, it's going to be in the edit flow as well. So what I'm saying is that like the details view is, and also the only thing you can edit is the options, to be clear, right? You can edit some other stuff. Like there's like 4 edits, like in the same way that we have an edit or create workspace. The first step is going to be overall metadata, some of which is fixed. There's like, oh, I want to change the icon. I want to change the whatever else. Then it's like, the next step is like image configs and then pod configs. And this is like, and we can see, you know, the path gets rewritten as you go through these stages, right? And they're pre-populated with whatever the current state is because it's an edit, right? Same as the edit for everything else. And that means we can link directly to edit pod options, you know what I mean? And then under that page is what I'm saying for you, which is like, you're also going to see option number 6,000 is being used by 10 workspaces that are currently paused or played or whatever. And you'll see all that information there as well. And then I guess you could have a link there which takes you away from that page, which says, just show me those exact ones, but that can come at a later time. But like because the majority of times, and then them separately, we can have like what a more administrator, like a more finance person might be looking at it kind of view, or whatever else kind of view that is for the detail overview. But it's like,
thank you. That I understand your point.
That's what I'm saying. Like we should start in the framing of editing because like, it's the most obvious one which has an acceptance criteria as well. Like it's like, can I successfully edit in a way that makes any sense when these things spiral? I don't know, right? Like you can disagree with me. That's fine. It's just I think
I kind of disagree with that start by the editing, but I think that what is the conflict here, if I understood correctly, is that on this drawer, right? The step for going from this list on the left to the drawer should be a new UI where we are going to congregate multiple information.
It's honestly, part of me thinks that the only flow here needs to be edit. Like that in the context of viewing details, it kind of is edit. You know what I mean? That like effectively.
No, and from this drawer, from this new UI that we have the auto detail information about, we can filter by namespace, we can filter blah, blah, blah. We either redirect for this page to see which workspace are you using, or you can edit in the flow.
Yeah, I mean, like I think it's fine to have like even just this table view with some overview metrics, like we said, like how many are healthy, how many are things like that. And then you click a big red edit button here, and then it brings up the overview tab, kind of like we do for the create flow right now in the workspaces. And then those have hard linked paths, you know what I mean, on the URL. And then
with by name, and then we don't use a drawer namespace.
There's like no drawer.
By namespace, search by view, this sort of hard links, right?
Well, we might have an overview, but it's for like more detailed metrics than it is about doing anything about bulk actions or anything. And then all the action flow just happens within this like administrate view, maybe rather than edit, right? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't feel strongly here, right? I guess like, you know, and I'm not on the cluster admin mindset, but like, if you really were just wanting to survey the landscape, is that kind of a UX hurdle to say, even if I'm only interested in engaging in read-only activities, I need to hit the big red edit button?
Well, then maybe it's on the right.
Get that
hand,
information.
Right? Maybe like these metrics that's what I'm saying. Like we can still have this, like the drawer kind of sidebar, but like it's you know, because
okay, so that so sorry, it piggybacks on top of that edit experience. I see. Yes.
This design map we started by Paul and myself discussing which workspaces are using SciPy 1.9.
Okay.
That is the with Jupyter, from Jupyter kind, which workspaces are using SciPy 1.0 1.1990?
Well, it's the same. What presumably
no.
Yeah.
You know, this is how we designed this with this idea in mind that I am a cluster admin, and I know that I have a kind for Jupyter, but I would like to say who is using a specific image.
Yeah, and that would be, you'd be able to get who is a complicated question, like which namespaces.
Who is by image. It's like, but then instead of a drawer, if you understood correctly, I will reflect on what we are going to understand. Okay. I click on the Jupyter one, because imagine that the Jupyter Visual Studio Code and RStudio, right? I click on Jupyter, we'll open a new UI
modal,
with some
right?
with model or something, with some information like general information overview. Then we have a tab like name by namespace that will take all the names, all that workspace kind, be able to filter by namespace. A second tab that will be by image. And then you have an image selector where you can search the image and use. But in the end, we will end up with the same workspace view to see, not with the connect button, but with this type of filtering. That's why we like this filtering.
What I was more meaning was like, yes, this view can still exist, but what I was meaning is more like, I click this page here and edit or whatever, and because like the context in which I care about these things is the redirects and changes and removals and things like that most of the time, right? There is.
Yeah, I don't know, Matthew. I want to see who is using an expensive GPU.
Yeah, but like that information, that is important, but it is a lower priority than being able to edit the workspace kinds, because the workspace kinds are only editable in the UI.
No, I agree.
Like,
but I agree with it. I agree. But the first, I would like to see who's using a GPU, for instance.
But you will be able to, like, right now, sure, but like.
And this is not edit.
I guess.
I think edit will come from this detailed view. Like let's call.
We can just call it a details modal. Yeah, it's fine. Whatever. It doesn't have to be called edit modal. Like, whatever is whenever you like. We do have this overview view, which is like all of them. And then also it needs things like update buttons here, where it's like where we have like update servers effectively, where they like serve new options for specific kinds. But like once you're dealing with these parts, like it's like clearly there's a detail view here which needs to take up the whole screen, right? It's so,
Yep,
you know what I
yep,
mean?
a
Like
detail
that's,
view, yeah.
yeah. And it's like that detail view, whether or not there's a modal, this sidebars, who knows? But this, like, there has to be a full screen thing that is both providing the
Workspace
ability
kind
to
of
edit.
displayed view. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like effectively it could be still a stepper, right? I still feel like it could be like a tabbed.
I don't think it's a stepper, but I think more a tab because I want to explore like namespace by namespace by. And the
Just one
problem of
observation.
no, so just for me wrap up here. The problem of having tabs, Matthew, that I like the filtering here, like you're doing the image, because maybe I want to combine dimensions. I want to see in a given namespace who is using a specific image. Go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, I was just going to mention we are also working on a creation wizard for kind that will serve as the edition as well, where the user can set up the redirects for images and stuff like that.
Exactly. So the creation wizard is the same as the edit in the same way that the other one is, just pre-populated, right? But
yeah,
or actually maybe not. I think that actually isn't necessarily strictly true, because in some sense, by creating a works, you're more like creating an empty metadata thing, and then there's like, you know what I mean? Like like there's like new workspace kind, and then there's option management, right? And like kind you know what I'm saying? Like it's like,
yeah. The wizard, the idea would be just for the metadata of the kind, not
yes, right, yes. And there's a separate one which is for the actual options, right? Yeah. Is that correct, or yeah?
Yeah, no, that's correct. That's correct.
Because yeah, I feel like
the stepper would be just a map from the YAML to the UI and back.
Like we're talking about editing specifically these sections, right? Like this spawner section.
Yeah.
And then pod template will obviously depend, and then you select the kind, right? You select the kind of kind, and then from there, it's like it succeeds or not, this first part, and then you end up editing the options, right? I don't know. It's hard to know.
Our idea would be, our first idea is to have the first step where the user chooses if they want to create an empty UI, like from scratch, or upload a YAML as an example that would refill all the fields. But then we'd have the step for the spawner stuff, and then for the images, the pod configs, and we could add more steps if needed for the VM. I think we thought about one for pod metadata, one for images, and one for pod config besides the spawner.
Yeah, there's also going to be culling and other things as well that are specific to workspace kind types that are pod templates, but also are there's also some relatively complex ones.
Yeah. But just not to diverse much from the point, I believe, in my opinion, once we have this edition, this will satisfy this use case. And for the management of the workspace themselves that use a specific kind, I think we could have this first version where we reuse the workspace list just to see. And then we could create a new UI as needed if we see, well, the screen is getting too complex and the admin needs different data, so let's create a new UI for that. I think that this would be fine in the future as well. It doesn't hurt for us to use, that's my opinion, as a first version.
The issue is that all has two meanings in this thing, right? Like what I'm saying is there's going to be many situations where an admin is not privy to specific namespaces necessarily, but
I think like here, right, if we view this screen as this is what we want the state of the application to be in the month of June, right? Like that's kind of how I view this, right? This is our June experience, which might then not be what we want in August, right? Like I think this is like that like first step to start to sort this out.
I think if I understood the matter correctly, the problem of reusing the same workspace screen is that the all in the Kubeflow Center dashboard, this is new for me, right? The all is just the namespace that people has the access by their profile, and not if a cluster admin is not all workspace, and the cluster admin will have more access. Is that correct, Matthew?
It's actually even the ones that you can view only.
Yeah. So I think that but this will be fixed if you put this in a new UI, right? Like Kubeflow workspace for admins, and then don't use the selector and use all the alls. With the Kubeflow, use the cluster admin credentials to do the query, and you reuse the same components, right?
I just think that like it's pretty. I just don't know if that it's that complicated, right? Like that, like there's so much extra information here that isn't necessary for, or that like this page stops being useful when you've got hundreds of workspaces, right? Like there's not like this is. Like,
I think this page will be useful when you have hundreds of pages due to the combination of filterings.
Being able to take yourself to a page like this is fine, sure, right? But like, it's like what like they care about like like when you're running a finance report, the most valuable things when you're doing stuff is like looking at aggregate views, metrics, tables, graphs. You know what I mean? Like it's like as the number of things scales, it just stops being that like this is interesting, sure, but like it's not. I also worry about having any like from it, it's like I do worry about like breaking the mindset of this page. Not what I'm saying is, however we do it, I don't think we can use the other page. Is what I'm saying. Just like the other, like it's purely from a page perspective. Whether or not we just place this UI in there as a separate discussion. The issue is that the backend APIs will be different, to be very clear, because they need to be different from a permission perspective, and they will not give you as much information either. So like this kind of is like it's duplication in it, but I'm like what I'm thinking is most of this information can be pulled from the workspace kind status, and the small amount which can't can be done by the backend combining those queries for you without you having to see them. Because like but anyway, coming back to the first thing, which is like it's about creating and editing workspace kinds right now, right? Like that's the problem that we're trying to solve initially, which is that without this, we literally can't, nothing works. Like if you can't add a new option or edit a new option, like it's the app doesn't work, because we don't recommend people use GitOps to manage these workspace kinds. I don't know. We're kind of got very sidetracked, I think, but I like coming back to the epics, right? This is why we.
But it's important to have the discussion. I guess
it's important to have the discussion, but I think we should. This is why we need. This is the whole point of the epics and framing it in the context of acceptance criteria, because in this case, it's very clear that the epic we're trying to solve is the one about. Again, I don't know. Do we have a different version of this that has like? These are all future epics. That's the problem. Yeah. Okay. Did we make this one? Sure, like this is one
we are working as well. This is what we are going to upload and create the creation wizard for it.
Yeah, and obviously like the most simple, well, it's not simple, but like a YAML based one probably makes sense, right? Like I don't know, like I'm not
saying this is the second. You understand that this is the second epic that we have on our list. Like is like to figure out who is using what.
Yeah, who is using what is an interesting question, right? Like yeah, that's an interesting question.
This flow here, for sure, the model is at the tail. We can put a new UI, and we can also don't reuse the same UI to have a different view and just reuse the same type of sort of table. But it's like from I would like to see from a Jupyter workspace kind of who is using the GPU.
Yeah, again, when you say who, like, do you mean like namespace?
No, which workspace?
Specific
which workspaces.
And there's also like paused versus unpaused, right?
Yeah. This would be a second filtering. It's like from a sector. Imagine that I want to say who is using my 800.
Because I feel like this needs to be visual. Like it needs to be graphs. You know what I mean? Like if you're talking about details, if I'm talking about like just actually trying to remove a specific option, sure. I only really care about, am I impacting anyone right now?
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's like on the details view, whether it's in the edit or detail, whatever view, like when I click on Jupyter Lab 1, I see details about that. I can filter by namespace, workspace, like pod options, and then status. And it's kind of like,
and for culling as well, right? In the future, to see the idle time, to sort by the idle time.
Yeah, those kind of things. But I feel like it's visual, right? The graphs and other things like that are, I don't know if I'm going on the wrong.
Well, no, we're talking about the visuals, what we're talking specifically, because on a table with all the workspace, for me, is the best visuals as at me.
Wouldn't it make more sense to have the filters be, I mean, these kind of filters do work, but like, because it's going to be like, show me all the ones that are like, you know, like a bar chart, you know what I mean? It's like, click on that, and then it's like, I want to filter this bottom table by clicking on that top graphs, you know what I mean? Almost. Like, I want to select all the ones that are healthy. Like, this would
be a filtering as well. Like you can click on here, yeah. We can put any kind of, not a label on the Kubernetes, but any kind of label to sort by status.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like for like a lot of users, wouldn't it be even the options being high numbers of them is problematic, but like, you know, for ones where it's like about health or whatever else, it's like, okay, how many are paused or not paused? You know, like, yeah, and then you've got that, like all the ors, right?
One important thing that in order to make this beautiful for the users, we can have the UX team for Red Hat helping us later.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, what I'm saying is
the important part for me and Paulo is to figure out the flow. It's like if you have agreement, like we click on workspace kind, open a workspace kind details where we can have some metadata and we can have a way to sort workspaces. And this way to sort workspace, we start with that filter selector right now, show workspaces. And then if you agree with this flow, and I'm not saying that is the right thing, but if you agree in some sort of flow, we can have UX people later helping out how I select pause and unpause, how it's better to select the image, what's the better visuals for everything for the filtering.
I think at risk to restate Matthew's point there, right, which I'm understanding better now. If you're truly Joel, a tabular view of this data doesn't help you versus a bar chart or some sort of relative pie chart or something just to understand the distributions.
But by yeah, but by a pie, a chart is a report. What I'm saying here is that we can have a report as well. But what I'm saying here is to imagine that I want to do some action under some workspaces. You know,
but that's not, I guess, like, but that's not Joel, right? I guess that's like
Joel.
the fundamental rub.
It's Joel, because I want to deprecate SciPy 1.9. I want to see how many workspaces and which workspace are using, and also want to see if they are paused or not, if they what are the idle values. So understand, it's like I want to explore my cluster from a workspace kind to understand what's going on. And I'm sure that, for instance, to see how many users are on per version, if I click on workspace kind, you can for sure put some graphical metadata there. It will be part of the detail view. You know, you're following me.
I am, but I guess I don't see then all those queries can be shown by visual charts. Does Joel need like, imagine we have 1,000 workspaces. Joel would want a chart there, right? And so
no, I don't think so. I don't think so.
But you couldn't use a table to extract any meaningful info if there's 10 pages of 100 records.
No,
Joel's not going to be able to synthesize that.
That's why we have sorting, because the charts are super good to show report in one dimension. For instance, if I have image in a bar chart, they are super good. But when I compare like image and also idle time and sort, this is where tables skyrocket. So I'm saying that it's a combination of data points, and you can provide both in the workspace details.
But what do we provide first? Like, that's kind of what I'm saying. Like, what is the minimum?
What I'm saying is that this table is ready. already.
But like this is different though, because like these kind columns shouldn't exist here. And
No. A version of this table, we will remove all the columns, but with this component. So let me.
I really need. Sorry, and sorry to interrupt.
Please.
I'm going to cut.
It's super helpful.
I really need answers to 2 questions on back-end implementation stuff. So just make sure, hopefully, if people need to drop, we can allocate 10 minutes for that.
I have to drop to have lunch. But Paulo and we are going to go back for the designer board, like Paulo. And then you can figure out. I think we understood. What you guys mean on this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But it's committed. It's incremental. It's incremental.
All I'm saying is just like make sure that the core action is like it's just like start from the focus of like the options that are like the epics that we've talked about here, like where this one is
it's the first line of the epic, Matthew. Sorry to be pedantic on this one. Is Joel, the cluster admin, wants to monitor which users and team consume the most GPUs recurses. He lists all the active workspace, filter them by put configuration, and find those who
sorry.
and find those who use high-end GPUs and view usage metrics like last activity and GPU load. And those metrics is probably the
I think we should let's bump this. Let's bump this one then. We need to move this one. Has to be high priority. Like,
but this is already working.
Are they?
Isn't it, Paulo? We are going to edit.
Like those two are much higher priority than the other one. That's what I'm trying to say.
We are working on edit, right, Paulo?
Yeah, we're working on the creation that it will be the same UI for editing, but we need to parallelize some stuff because of the hands we have.
Like these kind of these are the ones that are like monitoring is useful, but I think it comes later, right? Like the product can be shipped without that, whereas the product cannot be shipped without these ones. Like the that one also can be bumped a little bit, but this like what I'm saying is like I think going down this road is trying to like until we have users using the platform, there's no way to know what people really want with this one. Like this is like I feel like you're designing for users that we don't know yet. Whereas this one, if you can't do this, the product doesn't work. Like I know that's what you're saying. You're making these things, and like what's the minimum needed to get these to work? Like so, and then it's like okay.
I think people cannot roll out a new image version without understanding which workspaces are using a specific image.
Sure.
That's why the listing is important.
But like, they don't have to necessarily go back to the other page to get, or any page to get that. They don't necessarily need a whole table, right? They just need to know how many, right? To some extent, and which namespaces. And which
it's not how many, it's how many, what is the culling, what is the status, it's are they paused or not?
Yes.
Because adding a new image will also requires a redirect, right? I need to know what's the status of the workspace that running the old image, what they are, and the cluster admin needs a really easy way to do this type of filtering.
Sure. I mean, yeah. I mean, like, yeah. I agree. This is a complicated UI problem. Like, it's a complicated UI problem. I just
you understand. I always think that for creating, it's fine, but for editing or workspace kind, to add a new image, to remove a pod config option, I need first to understand who is using that workspace with that specific
but
image.
Like, frame it from the perspective of like the actual flow of an admin doing this change.
Yeah, that's
I shouldn't be ending like jumping between pages is problematic.
No, it could be the same page, right? We can see the same page, but first I need to, in order to do a decision, I think the first to add something or deprecate something, I need to see who's using. So like, and what is the state of the workspace.
I think the first step, also from like a pure like efficiency of the browser perspective, like it's, say the flow is this, I'm adding a new image config, right? Like, and I am intending to redirect some of the old ones. Like the first step is I open up the workspace kind for which I'm trying to add the thing. I go to the step which is image configs. I see somehow just an overview of all the current ones with a table view of them. First off, I need a table view of the options, right? Of the options, not of the workspace. Like the row corresponds to each option. Then, and then there's probably a graph at the top or whatever of options used. That might be nice, but that's future state. Then it's like, okay, I'm click the button to add new option, right? Now that overview page, obviously you'll probably have some like it'll have all the information talking about like how many are using it, what state they're in, yes, no, and all that's very efficient because it's aggregate views, right? The backend does most of the work, the browser doesn't have to do anything. Then it's like, okay, there will be some maybe bulk actions on those things, like we've said, but those are separate, like pause all matching that option or something. But then that's future again as well. The next step is I add new image config, and it's like, okay, add new on it, and it says, okay, what's its details? Image ID, sorry, not image ID, yeah, image ID, image, spec, you know what I mean, everything else. And then it's like, okay, do you want to redirect any of the old images? You know what I mean, to this new one? And at that point, you can look at it and be like, tick, yes, 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 these ones are getting redirected to it. And then maybe under there you can say, show me all the workspace, bring up a temporary view that's like another modal again, which is like, of these ones, which ones are being used? Like, is it and then you get your table view, but filtered down a lot in there, but like in the pop-up window, right? Not in another screen, like where it's more like you got 3 layers of windows on top of each other. I know it's a bit annoying, but like you've got under view, which is the table view. I think we should create another under view, which is for a specific workspace kind, so we don't end up with a modal. You know what I mean? And then a modal, and then like from the page where you're viewing a specific workspace kind, you because that's great, right? You can have these nice graph, like detail overview page for a specific workspace kind as well, right? And then from there, you click the edit button or whatever, and then like, and I don't want to jump back and forth between things. Like, I just want to add a new one, and then I want to tick. It's like, yes, I want to redirect that. No, I don't want to redirect that. I think there's one more page needed. I think that's really what I'm saying. Is there needs to be a new page called workspace kind.
Yeah, no, I agree. And this is what you described here is how I envision also the edit flow for workspace kind for everything. Like you drill down, and help the admin to do the decision. And
what I'm saying is this overview page should really just be a list of like very basic metrics, and then because they're very permanent. Workspace kinds should be very permanent. You know what I mean? Like in a way that is and then we have this nice like. I think like the next step is definitely like there needs to be a page called workspace kind detail, but it's like a page. It's a whole page.
Yeah.
I don't know if we agree with that, right? Like
I agree.
It also highlights
and also agree a lot with the edit flow that you described. That I think this will be, but I think that also for that's super easy to implement right now on the front end.
Yeah,
is that on this details page, we should have a way to filter, to have a table like
this table can be one of the elements at the bottom of this page. Yes, perfect. Absolutely. Yeah, like you know what I mean. If it's like an although honestly, I think maybe even. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, and
no, you understand because
the top drop down could be kind then. You know what I mean, rather than namespace or something, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. And because I want to, if we are on the same page, I think what I want is to figure out which we have the admin. I always think about I'm system admin. I want to browse who is using the GPUs, who's idle with the GPUs, this sort of stuff that I think inside the workspace kind of have the detail. But for editing, I totally agree to you, Matthew.
Like what I'm saying is, I think the reason this is getting all confused is partially because we're trying to treat workspace kinds as if there's going to be lots of them.
No.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's no reason. Like,
I'm saying that there'll be a lot of options.
To be frank, my initial plan for the workspace kinds was actually a card view as the first view, not a table view. Like that was like when my original design thought for this page was actually just cards. And then when you click on a card,
we can change. This is easy, but we are going to design this.
So I'm fine with it being a table. It's just like I don't know. That was just my. Yeah.
The UX designers from Red Hat, they do a design route on this. But we all agree that we have to have this details page with some graphs. The edit flow will be as described, but we can have this table view to allow people quickly explore.
It can be at the bottom, yeah, I guess. Yeah. It can be at the bottom. And to be clear, all of the API requests are going to happen under the this path. They're gonna happen. They're gonna happen under gets that are somehow under this section. You know what I mean? That's although we do have this problem of like name. Oh no, that's fine because it's under name. Sorry, under that section. Sorry.
Yeah. Workspace kind, name, and then the
slash
filters.
details, or maybe whatever. I'm not sure exactly what the next slash should be, but it's probably going to be like it's a good question, right? But whether it's parameters or query parameters or not, but yeah,
guys, I'll have to drop.
It's more like slash
right, Matthew,
yeah.
You got 5 minutes for me so we can try to get some direction?
Also,
Thank
Ed, we need to talk in the next day or soon about the thing. Anyway, sorry, we're still recording, everyone. I'm just going to stop the recording. We've definitely gone quite a long time. Sorry. Hopefully this is showing the insane problem space that is making software. Okay. Thanks for everyone's input. I'm just going to stop the recording.